Welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a look at how we can do some of the CRUD part of database operations, aka we're going to be working specifically with the idea of using insert statements and see what happens when we try and add stuff to a database, and also how we can roll back using some transaction control on that. So we've got a couple statements we're going to demonstrate here really fast. And so I have insert into my products table. I have unit price, product name, and product ID, and I have values 6.32, YAM, and 42. As mentioned earlier, when I take a look at the actual table itself, if I go look at my products table, my product ID, as you can see, is the first field, then product name, then unit price. However, I have them in a different order right here because order doesn't matter. So just as an FYI, the order we're working with doesn't matter on that. So let's go ahead and save this query right here. And watch what happens when we run this query compared to when we're working with the idea of a select clause, where it actually gives us a lot of information. And so I hit play on that, and boom, one row inserted. That's it. That's all the information we get back from that. It was simply that the value was inserted. When we run one of the CRUD commands, it doesn't actually give us a lot of information as a return statement or anything like that. It's not really telling us, it just simply tells us if it's successful or not. And so we have to make sure when we write our insert queries especially, that we specifically identify the fields we're working with and the correct values. Otherwise, we have a problem of actually inserting the incorrect information, and that's a problem we have to make sure we're taking care of. Now, if I want to get rid of that associated change that I just made, I'm going to go ahead right here and I'm going to run the amazing power of the rollback command. In order to get rid of that, I'm going to run the rollback command. That will wipe out the changes I just made in my database. And so I'm going to hit play right here, and my rollback is complete. I'm going to go back over to my products command, look over at my data section right here, and as you can see, I do not have that value of YAM inside here. So if I sort by product name, definitely don't have a YAM in there because it's zucchini and then goes to turnip. So it's definitely not there. So I'm going to go ahead and rerun that query right here, hit play. One row is reinserted. Go look back at my products information. I'm going to refresh my lovely thing, and boom, there's my YAM with, of course, chord 42 because I know it's cheesy, but that's all good. So you have that information right there. So when I insert into products, I make sure I specify the fields that I'm working with and the values I'm going with that. The order that I'm working with, as long as my field value matches my associated value, we're good to go. Other than that, though, the order itself doesn't really matter. Let's take another look at this. Let's look at the student table. On the student table, we have a much bigger set of information we're looking at. We have a whole bunch of values we have to actually attach. So I have my student ID, my salutation, first name, last name, street address, zip, phone, employer, registration date, created by, created date, modified by, and modified date. And so we've got a whole bunch of fields I'm working with, and most of those are actually required, so I can't skip them or anything like that. Now, I've got values in there for all these different spots right here. Notice when I'm working on here on the idea of registration date, created date, and modified date, I'm using the sysdate command so I can reference the current date inside here. So I'm doing the registration date right now today that was created 120 days in the past. I can modify time, yes! Not really, but it allows me to do so. But on top of that, my modified date, I modified 123 days in the future. Yeah, watch, it'll let me do it too. It's really cool. Now, there's one thing we have to look at in this as well. We have inside our schema right here, when we're talking about this, when we're looking at what we're going to work with inside our insert statements, we have to make sure we not only match the idea of the fields and the values that go along with it, we also have to make sure we keep in mind the idea that there is a specific foreign key relationship on many tables. In this case, it's the zip code. So I can't just throw in some random value for my zip code. I have to put a value that already exists because when you're working with a foreign key, the table the foreign keys reference of needs to be updated first before I add any other foreign keys to it. So I'll go ahead and hit play on this right here, and boom, I've inserted a row. I can go back and I can look inside now my associated table for my students. And if I look at my students table right here, and I click on that, and we're going to go on here and we'll look for the salutation and mixed quackers. One there and right there, and look, it's created in the past, December 17th, 2020. Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. And it registered on 16th of April, 2021, and then it was modified in the future. I know, pretty amazing stuff. So I can actually go through and get that data right in there. It's inside my student table, just right then. And if I were to again roll back, that would wipe it right back out. But we don't want to wipe that out right now, so that's okay. We'll do one more right here. We're gonna insert into zip code. And so if I want to insert into zip code, again, I have to make sure I match those values. Again, I'm going outside of the order right here. So I have a city, state, and zip, created by, modified date, and created date. And again, I can put those in any order I want to. So I just did sysdate for both of them. Cool, why not? And I'm putting Salt Lake City, Utah 84118, and Mr. H and Cody Hendrickson for the values I'm putting for that. I'll run that query right here, and boom, one row inserted again, and that value's in there right there. So again, when we're talking about doing our inserts, we have to make sure we properly match the fields, making sure we get all the required fields specifically. We can look at that if we go over to our schema and I look at the SQL for that. I can find it right here. I can find the information here in the SQL tab of my SQL developer, where I can see the actual information for the DDL language itself. I can also go to the columns table for that. and I get the column information right there so I can identify what I need to do. And this tells me if anything can be null on that. And so nullable, no, yes, yes, no, yes, yes, yes. So I've got a few nullable options in there, but I never want to put nulls in there because nulls are bad, so we don't ever want to do that. So I can look at that right here inside of my column information, or I can find that information out, or I can go look at a schema if I look at an idea of our diagram or some other visual information I can use to figure that information out. I can figure out what required has to go inside there. I can identify those pieces and go from there. And then I just have to make sure I match the appropriate values. So my city, and state are both string values. I have to make sure I put text inside them. My zip is also a text. My name is a text. That's a date value. I have to put a date in there. And so as long as I have those matched, we're good to go. And that's just a quick little demonstration of how to do insert statements inside SQL. Hope that was helpful. Cheers and have a great day. See you next time. Bye-bye.